other hand, not seem as though it's pushing its demands or its, I guess, agenda onto the country, because Egyptians won't want to see that the United States has an agenda in the country. What about that diplomatic dance?
Well, it's very, very hard to walk the fine line between supporting the principles and the democratic values that are at stake: democracy, representative government, a free press, free assembly, all of these crucial principles, the rule of law that Egypt doesn't have. And I think it's important to push those principles very hard without, as you say, being seen as dictating or picking or otherwise manipulating the situation on the ground for a variety of reasons, because of the imperialism of the British government in Egypt and in the Middle East, because of the relations we've had with Mubarak and his predecessors. The United States and other countries are often seen as controlling what happens there, and that's why there's so much conspiracy discussion in newspapers and radios and cafes. So we have to avoid being seen as somehow manipulating the situation, while also making clear what our principles are. And we should not be uncomfortable about supporting democratic values. We should not exaggerate into a boogeyman the potential of the Muslim Brotherhood having some minor role in this. Look, they've made clear, I gather today, that they're not going to put a candidate in the elections for president. You know, we're not going to see another Iran of 1979, as people say, where a revolution was hijacked by Islamic extremists. That's not what's going on here.
So just to add to that then, because of the talk of the various opposition groups and the various players that might want to be a part of a new government in Egypt, should Mubarak step down right away, what would worry you? If you were in government right now, what would worry you?
Well, should Mubarak step down, I think I would have two concerns. One was trying to make sure that there wasn't a wholesale violation of their legal system because of this constitutional question I just mentioned. But I think more importantly, there are about I don't know, somewhere between 10 and 20,000 people, individuals and families, who have been directly tied to the Mubarak regime, either to the party, either to the top levels of the government or the supporters of those government, many of whom you probably saw the other night, who were prepared to risk massive violence to support him. And those are the people you worry about in a situation like that, the people who have the most to lose. And so you'd want to be working with the government in Egypt, working with the military in particular, to try to create enough order, enough stability, so that those people know there's really no way for them to get back into power, and some mechanism is found for letting them reintegrate themselves into Egyptian society. That's a tough one.
So in your view, do you think Mubarak, would it be safe, do you think, for the country, for Mubarak to step down right away?
Absolutely. I think the regime tried in the last 24 to 48 hours, the various forces associated with President Mubarak and the people around him, to play all the plays in the playbook, to use these opposition protests to come in there and have a real battle with the protesters, to potentially try to clear the square, to round up journalists, to try to manipulate the media, all of which was designed to change the momentum so that people would call for stability and ask President Mubarak to stay and establish order. It failed. Today, the outpouring of hundreds of thousands of people in Cairo and around the country make clear it's time for him to go. There are plenty of ways in which to ensure orderly transition that the administration has talked about. The Egyptian military is still a respected institution. They can provide order, and then there needs to be a national dialogue with Suleiman, with the opposition parties, on figuring out a constitutionally appropriate way forward.
Mr. Rubin, thank you very much.
Thank you.
According to Egypt's Ministry of Health, at least 8 people have been killed and about 900 people injured. Among the injured, journalists who have been beaten, targeted, intimidated and arrested. We are just getting information via Twitter that Al Jazeera's Arabic Cairo office has been stormed by unknown men, and they say that the office has been trashed. We're going to continue to follow any developments out of Tahrir Square and Cairo this day. But there doesn't seem to be any end in sight to demonstrations that we have been bringing to you. Tourists and foreigners have also been fleeing. They just want to leave Egypt. The government says 1 million tourists left in the past 3 days. Just listen to what this passenger on a charter flight bringing British nationals back to London had to say.
Well, the state there is really bad at the moment. Obviously, people have been seeing on the news. It's a bit like a war zone in some areas. But the people are fighting for their right to be free and to just live a dignified life. And I want to take this opportunity to ask the international community to support that. They have a right to live a dignified life and to choose their ruler. And that's it.
Who have you left behind there?
My husband. I left behind my husband, so it's a very difficult time for all of us. But I just want everybody, please, to support these people. I know, I just call on the kindness of your hearts to support them. They just want to live free like all of us do.
You're watching World One live from London. As the protests play out on the streets of Cairo, the Egyptian military could play an important role in the drama. We'll find out why.
My name is Bimbo Shomolu.
And I'm Sheon Shomolu. Never been to South Africa before. Great to be here.